Hello and welcome to Solasta Crown of the Magister, an early access review. I'm Shadow Coast and welcome to my channel. Solasta Crown of the Magister is a video game being developed and published by Tactical Adventures. The game uses the Dungeons & Dragons SRD 5.1 rule set and is an entertaining and surprisingly fun and effective adaptation of the tabletop rule set. Before I jump into my review, I am trying to grow my YouTube channel, so please consider subscribing and dropping this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this content. Check out the description for chapter titles to jump to specific sections of this video. For context, I played a little under 6 hours as of posting this review between the early access version and a demo version. I've done my best to take gameplay snippets that avoid any spoilers, but will preface that you might see bits or pieces that could reveal parts of the story. I'll be reviewing and outlining specific components of the game, but to summarize, I am really enjoying the game so far and would give it a 4 out of 5 despite being in early access based on my experience so far. I've broken the following review into three major sections, starting with party and character creation, followed by map exploration and combat, and finish off with my general thoughts about the game so far. Let's begin with character creation. Solasta allows you to create and customize all four of your main party characters and play with them at the very start of your adventure. For races, we currently can select up to 8 different races starting with Hill Dwarf, Snow Dwarf, Half Elf, Human, High Elf, Sylvan Elf, Marsh Halfling, and Island Halfling. Each race has unique characteristics that you might consider when crafting a new character. For classes, there are currently 6 available classes which I believe will remain consistent for the game. You can select from Cleric, Fighter, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, and Wizard. Each class has unique subclasses that allow for further specialization and customization. Also, you can see and start to map out how you plan on developing your character by selecting more information such as archetypes and at a higher level buttons. You can also customize the type of equipment you start with, which allows for further customization, and I personally find extremely entertaining and fun. Next, you can select your background and alignment. There are 8 backgrounds which I won't go into details about, but these backgrounds will determine your personality traits you can select. You can select up to 4 personality traits and double up on traits if you so choose. Each background has a selection of personality traits, and on the right you can select your alignment, which impacts additional personality traits you can select from. For stats, Solasta allows you 2 general options from dice rolls to point buy. You can optimize based on your class or assign points as you see fit depending on your preference. For proficiencies, you can select from a list of skills and class expertise options, which also outline your current scores based on previous character selection decisions. You also can select your ancestry languages and background languages, which could impact your adventure. Depending on your class, you can also select cantrips and spells that are class specific. Finally, you do have some ability to customize your appearance, name, and background. Always fun options. For those looking to jump right into the game, Solasta does have a variety of pre-made characters to select from too. To summarize, party and character creation, Solasta receives a 5 out of 5 in my book, as it allows you to finely tune your party to your exact specifications or desire. Moving on to map exploration and combat. In Solasta, you'll switch between journeying across the map and exploring specific points of interest or locations. For the map, you'll experience travel times and camping as you trek between major points of exploration or interest. During this time, you can tee up crafting items such as potions or weapons and set your pace, which can impact the likelihood of being waylaid. Tactical Adventures has done a great job in this view so far, though it can become a little obnoxious depending on the distance or locations you're traveling later in the game. You'll want to plan out your journey and think about how and where you need to go and travel. The other major piece is exploring specific locations of interest. In this view, you'll manage your party and move them around individually or all together. Beware though, because you'll encounter enemies or NPCs to interact with that further the story, which brings us to combat. Combat is rewarding and fun and effective. It is turn-based and characters and enemies roll for initiative to determine movement and action order. Once engaged, you can use a variety of options from attacking to casting to pushing or shoving. The game does have a heavy dose of verticality, so positioning is important. Furthermore, depending on positioning, you can gain partial or full cover, which impacts the ability to be targeted and the amount of damage you take if targeted. For casting spells, make sure to determine how many you can cast, as you have to prepare spells beforehand. You can also switch between your main weapon set and a secondary set, but you can only switch between each one once per turn. Tactical Adventures also makes it easier to cast or react easily, providing you an option to use a spell at a point in time. An example of this is if your wizard has a mage shield and is shot at, he or she has the option to quickly deploy the shield to block the incoming attack. Overall, combat is fun, effective, and makes sense for what they've done. There are a lot of options and abilities to experiment with, and even progressing as far as I have in game, I have a lot more to experience and experiment with. A few other items to call out. As one would expect, you can take short and long rests. Although during long rests, you need to have a safe space or campfire to trigger, and you'll also have to ensure that your party has enough rations to be able to trigger this event. During long rests, you'll also need to use ingredients to prepare spells and other items. Your characters can also only carry so much, so be sure that they do not become over encumbered, as they will suffer deleterious effects. During the introduction to the game, there is mention of an interesting loot concept which I don't want to spoil. As of now, it does not appear to be usable in early access, but the concept sounds great and will accelerate looting and selling items from minor enemies, and could impact overall gameplay and experience in a positive way if executed well. We'll see. Overall, I've been pleasantly surprised by Solasta and would give it a 4 out of 5, which is pretty good considering it's only in early access. With that said, the developers have stated that they are fairly close to completing the game, though I can tell you from playing that there are areas that need some polishing and additional work. So far, I have not experienced any major bugs, though I'm still progressing through the content available in early access. I'll be posting lots and lots of videos on Solasta and my early access experience, so be sure to check them out. Thanks so much for watching, and please consider supporting the channel by subscribing, and hope to see you in future videos.